in the CHA and just the competition that you face every weekend because I feel like it's one of the most underrated conferences in women's college hockey. You look at some of the players that play on some of these teams, really talented players, but you also got some really talented just teams in general that have made some noise in the national tournaments. So just talk about that conference and what it's like playing in it every weekend.
Yeah, the CHA is definitely underrated. It's a great place to play. There's 5 teams in our conference, and it's been great getting to experience each of the different arenas in the schools. And it's never too far from home, so it's definitely good when my parents can come out and watch too.
What's your favorite road rink you've played in so far this year?
It's got to be Penn State. I was blown away by their arena and their just overall facilities.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're hosting the Women's Frozen Four, not just last year, but in 2026 as well.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I couldn't believe it.
Now, your team got to play in Lake Placid during October this season. How cool was that trip for yourself, and what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, Lake Placid was a really cool experience for us. It was an opportunity for us to kind of get to know each other a little better just before kind of jumping into our season, and we definitely built some good relationships with that. And we played some fun teams, we played some good hockey, and it was definitely a great experience overall.
I don't know. I know you're Canadian, but I don't know how much you like the movie Miracle, but I feel like I'm a big fan of that movie, so I feel like I would just be trying to find spots in the movie in that arena.
Oh, for sure. When we got there, we all kind of just walked down to ice level and we're just looking around. Like it was definitely surreal.
Did they have I know they have the speech on the locker where Herb Brooks made that speech. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I feel like I remember someone telling me that.
Yeah, I can't confirm that because I don't know if I saw it, but I feel like it's something that they would definitely have, just it being so historical.
Yeah, no, that arena, or that movie, I should say, if that doesn't motivate you to run through a brick wall, I don't know what will. Just from the bag skating scene or just the speech in general. And I feel like it's a movie obviously a lot of American hockey fans can enjoy, but I feel like Canadians can enjoy as well because we didn't beat you in the Olympics at all.
Exactly.
But getting back to some hockey questions now from your season, what are some of your goals and expectations for the rest of the year? Obviously, it's to win a CHA championship, but any other goals that might be on your team's radar that fans might not be aware of?
Some personal goals is for me to just keep getting stronger and continue to shoot the puck more. I think that's something I shy from a little bit. So just getting pucks to the net to help create that offense we need. But as for team goals, it's just to continue to grow and learn our systems, everyone buy in. Culture is definitely a big thing that we talk about. So it's just continuously being intensive with what we do and just kind of being a good group of girls.
So let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of work all the way to where you are today. So you're from, and I apologize if I butchered this town name, but Etobicoke, Ontario. So talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey?
So I was born in Etobicoke, but I was raised in Brampton, Ontario. And my brother grew up playing hockey, and my dad was the coach. So I was in the arena 4 days after I was born. So I definitely grew up around it. And I was in skates actually a couple days after my first birthday. So I started with figure skating and quickly realized that wasn't for me. It was a little bit slow pace. So I kind of wanted to get in on the action like my brother was. So I transitioned into that, and here I am today. So it's definitely a little bit all over the map.
Yeah, that's awesome. And who was your favorite player growing up? I assume it was either someone on the Leafs or a women's player on the national team.
Good guess. Actually, I've always been a fan of Mitch Marner. Just his speed and creativity is something I've always aspired to have. So he's definitely one of my favorites.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And before college hockey, you played for the Mississauga Junior Hurricanes. Just talk about your experience there and what you took away from it.
Playing in Mississauga was a great experience. We had a great group of girls and a great coaching staff to go with that. So I made a lot of good friendships there, and I definitely learned a lot about myself as a player and the game through those years.
What was your best memory from your junior hockey days when you look back on it today?
My favorite memory has to just be the people. Every day I went to the rink, it was a new memory was made, and we shared some good laughs. But something that I'll take with me was being able to spend those years with Ashlyn Crows and Sydney Lynch, who are now at Merrimack. But it was really awesome to get to play junior with them, as we were playing hockey together from when we were 12 years old. So even to play against them this year was definitely kind of out of body experience.
Yeah, obviously your first game against Ashlyn, how cool was that? Because obviously we'll get into it a little bit because that's when your coach got her first win. But just talk about just what it was like playing against her.
it was crazy just to kind of go into a battle with them was like, do I laugh? Do I say hi? Or are we enemies? Like, it's crazy to go from being a teammate with this person to being against them. And it was definitely funny for us. And we met up after the game.
That's awesome. I think Ashlyn is one of the more underrated players in women's hockey, and I had the
Sure.
chance to interview her a couple years ago, and it was a
Mhm.
lot of fun. So, really good person as well.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Now, talk about the junior hockey scene in Canada and what's it like being a player in that scene, because I'm from the US, so I feel like it's kind of hard to understand just how big junior hockey is in Canada and just so how it like develops players, because it feels like a lot of the top players from Ontario play in the league that you played in and they go to Division One. There's like so many Division One commits
Yeah.
that play in that league. It's pretty cool actually to see how the league develops you guys.
Mhm. So the jump from minor to junior was definitely a pretty big one, and the speed of the game just picked up like immediately. The physicality got a lot stronger, so it was nice being involved in something like that where everyone shared the same mindset. Everyone had these goals and these dreams to eventually play D1. So you're just surrounded with like-minded people and all going to the rink every day and giving the same intensity, whether it's a practice or a game, was a really good environment, which always pushed you to be the best you can be.
Yeah, it sort of answers my next question, but like, how did your junior hockey experience help prepare you for college hockey? Like you said, you were with so many Division One commits, not just on your team, but playing against, and obviously they're always pushing you. I'm curious if there's any other factors from your junior hockey experience that help prepare you for college hockey that you've noticed so far.
So one thing that was big for me was my dad coached me all through my minor hockey, and going into junior, he said, okay, like you're leaving the nest. Like he didn't want me to have the same coach going into college. So having Darcy as my coach for junior was definitely something like I had to get used to. Just, it was different, but like it always pushed me to work even harder. And so, yeah, that was probably one thing that was really big for me. But again, just like the physicality and speed of the game was probably one of the bigger adjustments going into college that I had to start to get comfortable with.
And one thing about your class that not many other classes had to deal with was the challenge of the pandemic. I
Mhm.
think you guys had to miss an entire season. How did you handle that challenge?
It was definitely hard at times to stay motivated because it was almost like, when is this going to end? And I think for me, it was just kind of keeping my eye on the prize and knowing that when we come out of this, I need to be a good hockey player still. So it was mostly in the gym for me and trying to get on the pond whenever I could. But that was definitely one of the harder times in my career to keep pushing myself forward.
Yeah, and how did that affect your development in a negative or positive way? And I guess how do you try to develop your skills when you're not on the ice every day?
I think it definitely affected my development in a negative way, as I'm a very on ice person, and in the gym it's harder for me to get going and stuff. And so that was a big adjustment, just not being able to have that resource of going out and practicing my skating and edge work and stick handling. But I think I made up for it. My dad actually built us a little rink in our backyard. So my sister and I would get out there and do some shootouts. Someone would throw on the pads. And so it was just stuff like that to try and keep my love for the game in check.
Yeah, no, the one I feel a little jealous because we can never get pond hockey, at least in the where I'm from, just because it's a little too warm sometimes. So it must be nice to sort of just have that in your backyard because I would be using that all the time.
It was awesome. We loved it.
Now, you also got to play in the U18 World Championships last summer for Team Canada. Talk about that experience and what you took away from it, and what was it like winning a gold medal in that tournament?
That was an experience I'll never forget. It was a privilege to wear the Canadian jersey, and to play among such a talented group of players was honestly surreal. Like, as a kid growing up, I never really pictured myself there. So when it happened, it was just mind blowing, and I took everything. Like, I took it. I don't know how to word this, but I goodness, I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, to win a gold medal was pretty insane. Like, the tournament started a bit shaky for us for sure, but to come out of that with a win, we just pulled together and worked as a group to figure out what we needed to do. And it was definitely amazing coming home and being able to share that with my family and friends.
Where do you keep the gold medal today?
It's at home in my room, hanging on the wall, so right beside my jersey. So that's super nice to go home to.
You get to keep the Canadian jersey as well.
Yeah, just one of them. So I think we got the whites.
Oh, I would have kept the reds. I think those look nice in my opinion,
That's
but
pretty awesome.
the
Yeah,
the whites are cool though. It's not obviously you can't go wrong with either one, but maybe I just prefer the darker color sometimes.
maybe.
And obviously, obviously at the time of this recording, Canada just won the U18s again, back to back. As a former, I guess, U18 champion yourself, how cool was it to see your country go back to back in that?
I was super proud of the girls. They sent a message to our old group chat, and it was just super cute to see them all. And we're so proud of them. Just doing it back to back is a pretty incredible thing to do. So that's definitely really awesome for them.
Yeah, you guys have run the hockey world. You won the last gold medal. You won the last two U18s, obviously the last World Juniors. So, I don't know. I feel like as an American, we got to step it up a little bit, make that rivalry a little more interesting because it hasn't been. It's you guys been dominating for the last couple of years. So
Pretty lucky.
it seems like a lot of those players from this year team were on last year's, if I'm not mistaken. A good chunk of it, at least.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of girls that came back, which is definitely super awesome for them. Like, so proud that they got to do that twice. And some people don't even get to do it once. So that's definitely something that they'll remember.
Now, obviously, the tournament that you played in, it was supposed to be in Sweden where it was this year, but it got canceled, and then there was a lot of commotion. I'm curious how you sort of handled that, having the tournament be canceled, dealing with those emotions, then having the tournament say it's going to be back on, and then doing the emotions of the unknown of where it's going to be and when it's going to get played, and then finally knowing all that stuff. I'm curious how you sort of handled that.
Yeah, with that experience, there was always a question mark if it was going to happen, if it wasn't, where it was going to be. And the way I handled that was just trying to stay positive that no matter where it happened, I was going to go and I was going to give it my all. You're on the ice, so really the location wasn't too big of a deal for me, but it was just praying every night that it was going to happen and we weren't going to miss out on that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then getting back to your college hockey experience a little bit, talk about your recruitment process to Syracuse. What was that like for yourself, and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
So I knew that I wanted to stay somewhat close to home, and I visited some schools before Syracuse, but when I got here, I just instantly, it felt right. I fell in love with the campus, and I was so comfortable with the program that they had to offer, which just made it an easy choice for me.
Now, obviously, there was a coaching transition this past summer as the former Syracuse coach, Paul Flanagan, retired. I'm curious how you handled that and what's it been like playing under Coach Brittany Smith this year? Because I'm assuming Coach Flanagan probably recruited you, so you had some relationship with them. So I'm assuming it must have been a little weird playing under a different coach that you weren't expecting to when you were being recruited.
Yeah, when we found that out, it was definitely I was shocked. Didn't really know what to expect, but I knew that he wasn't going to do anything poor for us. He was going to leave us in a really good spot. So Brittany's been great. I really appreciate her coaching style. She always brings this positive energy to the team, and she has a lot of experience and knowledge as well. So she's been really positive with us, and it's been really great having her as a coach.
What's it been like? What was it like getting her first win against Merrimack this year? How excited were you to do that? Because I think she was the only one coaching your team in that weekend. Because so talk about what it was like getting her that first win and just that after the locker room scene after when you gave her the hard hat and stuff.
That was awesome. That was definitely a cool experience for us all. And for the freshman class, it was our first win too. So we were all just super excited that we could have got that for her. And it was definitely just a really fun experience for us all.
Now we're talking before about school and talking about that before this recording. So I'm curious how you balance both academics and hockey at such a high level.
It's definitely a work in progress. It's a lot, that's for sure. It takes a lot of self-discipline and some really good time management skills. But the first semester is over now, and I've kind of realized what works for me and what doesn't. So I'm hoping that I'll take all that into the next semester, and it'll be even better.
I definitely can get all the time management skills I need. So what are some things that worked and what are some things that didn't?
So I think just procrastination was a big thing for me that I struggled with. So it was just kind of when I get assignments, like knowing that I need to do it. And in university, you can't save it for the last night. So I learned that one pretty quickly, and it's one that I'm going to have to continue to work on.
And then you got your first goal against Princeton this year. Talk about that goal and what it meant to you. And do you still have the puck?
Yes, I have the puck. It's a pretty cool one coming from Princeton. It was surreal. Like I was just screaming. I was so excited because I was waiting for it. I was so close. I've hit a couple posts leading up to that moment, some crossbars, and I was like, it's coming soon. It has to. So when I saw Tatum driving, I was just like, I need to get to the net, stick on the ice, and that's what I did. It just hit off my stick, and I was super excited. My celly can show that because it was pretty bad, but
Hey, it's scoring in college hockey is very difficult. So you can sell however you want.
for sure, definitely.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment,
Mhm.
where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you and your team a little bit more. So first one is, what music do you like to listen to?
I'm a huge country fan. Zach Bryan pretty much takes up my whole playlist. But yeah, country is definitely my go-to at any hour of the day.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different. I kind of like just everything. Like I can
Mhm.
listen to classical music, country music, hip hop, pop, like pretty much everything. I guess for country, I like Morgan Wallen. That's probably a basic answer, but I really enjoy his music a lot, especially the new three songs he released.
So good. He's my second favorite for sure.
What is your most embarrassing hockey moment?
So that would have to be the 2018 Summer Games. It was my first big showcase, and we were heading on the ice for a warm up. My first step on the ice, I still had my skate guards on, so you can kind of picture how that went. I was so embarrassed. It was my first kind of exposure to these scouts and these schools, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I was definitely red in the face for that one.
As long as there's no like video of it, that's all that
Exactly.
matters.
So thank goodness there were no cameras.
Yeah. Now let's ask some questions about some of your teammates. Who's the funniest on the team?
That would have. I have to go with Maddie Primo on that one. She knows how to make everyone laugh, whether it's on the ice, off the ice. She's just a great person overall.
Which teammate takes the longest to respond to your phone calls or text messages?
Sarah Marchand. She's not a big Snapchatter, so when I need to get a hold of her, I really need to probably call her or send her a message.
I think that you might have the best style on the Syracuse women's hockey team. I see the pregame outfits that you pull up with, so tip my cap
Thank
for you
you.
for that. But
Mhm.
besides yourself, who do you think has the best style on the team?
I think I'd have to go with Meg Todd on this one. Her style on the ice is impeccable, and off the ice, she always has super nice outfits as well. So I'd have to go her.
Yeah, if you're gonna walk in with good outfits, you gotta be confident. Obviously, it translates on the ice as well for her,
For
so
sure.
that's
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. What is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
That Connor Bedard has 50 points in 18 games. How is that even possible? So that was something I found really interesting. Scrolling through.
Yeah, yeah, I think isn't he like doesn't he have like almost as more points as McDavid did when he was in juniors or somewhere close to that?
Probably
It's
like I
very
would.
similar.
Yeah, like his points are just unreal.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a fun player to watch.
For
I
sure.
guess the most interesting thing that I saw was I saw a story on like Austin Matthews and like how he's from like Arizona, which is not a typical hockey market,
Yeah.
and how he sort of made it into the NHL and how he played in Europe before going. And I just thought it was an interesting sort of backstory of how he got to where he was
Yeah, for
today.
sure.
And he's one of my favorite players just because it's cool to see like an American player be one of the best in the
Mhm.
NHL. So I gravitate to those guys more. So I maybe that's I don't know. I really like him a lot. He's a really cool player.
And
So
he's a Leaf, so that's double the points.
exactly, exactly. If you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why? I guess it's got to be a Leaf or maybe someone else. Who knows?
No, I went with Kevin Hart for this one. I just think he is one of the funniest people on the planet, and I knew that if I were to have lunch with him, I would just be rolling around laughing hysterically. And I'm definitely one that likes to laugh, so that's definitely who I'd take out for lunch.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. I guess for myself, probably that's tough. I'll probably say Wayne Gretzky because I feel like he
Oh,
has a lot of interesting stories.
oh, definitely. Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
And then getting back to some hockey questions now. So we have some younger listeners that listen to this podcast. So I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give those younger listeners on what it takes to make it to the college level where you are today?
I would just say to work hard and set goals. Always be willing to learn from your teammates, coaches, friends, family, just anything you can take away from any experiences you get, and stay focused and treat every practice and game with the same intensity. That's how you get better.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey from your perspective?
I think there already has been so much growth in the game. There's so much change, even with the social media coverage, and the U18 Worlds for Women's has grown so much, and people know more about it and stuff. So I think we're on the right track, and we need to keep doing what we're doing and keep getting people to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Like I remember the 2020 World U18s, they like had it on a doorbell camera. It was pretty pathetic actually. And
Yeah,
then the following year they did it on like TSN and I think that the viewership like exploded, which makes sense because you're actually putting it on TV. So that stuff goes a long way.
for sure.
And for myself, like I didn't know too much about all the U18 players. I knew a lot of them were committed to college, and
Yeah.
like that's how I found out about players like yourself and Brooke Disher
Mhm.
who I thought played amazing in that tournament. And I was like, oh, that's cool that know who they are before they're heading into college
Yeah,
hockey, because you don't really get that for a lot of women's players.
no,
So I really think that exposure means a lot from a fan perspective. Obviously, it means a lot to you guys playing as well.
definitely 100%.
Well, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, family members, or friends?
I definitely have to give a shout out to my U18 girls for winning gold today. 10-0 is a pretty awesome achievement, so definitely a shout out to them.
Awesome. Well, if one last thing is, and the floor is all yours. If there's anything you want to plug in, any guests that from your team that we should have on, feel free. The floor is all yours to say whatever you want.
Any one of them, they're all amazing, so they're all great to have conversations with.
Well, Rhea, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. It means so much for myself. I wish you all the best for the rest of this year in your collegiate career, and I can't wait to see the success that you have, not only just in hockey, but off the ice as well. I know you're going to do great things, and I'll be rooting for you, and thank you so much for doing
Thank
this. It
you.
means a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was super fun talking to you.